Burnout as an expat woman in business.
Oh my God, the Instagram got so. Welcome to Business Chat. Today we're going to be talking with Ariel, the expat therapist, about burnouts and how to handle it as an expat woman in business, as a pregnant lady, also, and as a part of a community, but also as a disappearing member of the community because she just hides in her cave when she's burned out. So
I do.
tell us all about it.
I do. This is partially part of my cave. Life alone, leave any human in this space,
It's
pretend
a
like we
pretty
don't exist.
cave though, so I don't blame you.
But yeah, so should we just kind of go over
Yeah,
what
so we were talking about in the first two videos that you didn't get to see, about how she found herself in the situation. She, as I mentioned, she's an expat. She's living in Valencia. That's how we met last year, actually, although it feels like it's been a long time. And she has her own business. She works as a therapist, and she's also pregnant. And she's starting new businesses, and she has a podcast, and like the whole thing. She's a mom of a 9-year-old. She's a wife. I'm exhausted just to think about
when you
it.
say, what did I do to my
Did
life?
I go wrong?
Where did I go wrong? Like I was saying, I experienced burnout. I just came out of it. I just came out of hibernation, so this is like week 2 for me.
She's
But I
scheduled
experienced
it. We were talking about our business together, and she was like, "Okay, talk to me about it next Monday. We can schedule these things, this meeting, blah, next Monday, because then I'm gonna be over the burnout phase." I'm like, "Can you really schedule that?"
but it worked.
Yeah, just being the
And
Lulu.
yeah, and you helped hold me accountable, so that was a really big helpful piece too, because I had like previously scheduled it and it didn't, it didn't quite.
No surprise.
But anyways, right? I think for me it was a combination of like burnout. I realized looking back over the last year and a half or so, I wasn't very intentional with my business. I wasn't intentional with my schedule. I was just kind of doing things when I felt it, and that's a no-go. So having a schedule, I absolutely am obsessed with you for drinking water out of a wine glass.
Honestly, if I'm completely honest, the dishwasher soapy thing, we run out of it, and I don't have any other glasses that
I
are
love it.
clean.
I
This
love
is how.
it.
Yeah, you can pretend it's. You can just add apple juice in there and pretend that it's white wine or
Right?
Coke and it's like red wine.
Right. Everything. I'm gonna start putting my teas in a white glass.
Oh God,
Skip,
yes, you should.
skip
100%.
coffee. But yeah, but anyways, okay, so not intentional, wasn't scheduling, and then it also simultaneously coincided with my first trimester of pregnancy. So I had no energy. I was not leaving the bed. I didn't want to smell things. Like I was feeling I was feeling
You
all the
didn't want
things.
to.
I couldn't even open our refrigerator. I mean, I would clean our refrigerator and I'd be like, okay, cool, it's better. And then I would go back like minutes later and I'm like, it smells. It just
Oh
smells like
God.
food, right? It smells like normal, but I couldn't do it. So I hibernated and I stayed in my room, or I stayed in my I went to my husband calls our room my cave, because ideally that's like my comfort spot. So that's where I stay. That's like where I hibernate usually. But we just like redid my office area too, so I'm super excited. That was also a part of me coming out of hibernation, was like, okay, redo this and like make it look the way that I want it to.
Just having a
Um,
little project to make you feel better.
yeah, exactly, right? It's all about being intentional. Just be intentional. But recognizing too some of the warning signs, because this isn't the first time I've been in like this type of burnout season, whether it was from just simply moving to a different country and burning out because that was exhausting,
Hmm.
or being an entrepreneur and doing all of the things for it. So those are like the two burnout experiences I've had in the last 3 or 4 years. And the one thing that brought me out of both of them was finding community, exposing myself to social situations, not just self-isolating, which is my favorite thing to do, and putting myself out there. And yeah, and actually both times with you. So,
Yay! I feel like it really helped just to get you out of your head and put things into perspective and also recharge, because I'm an introvert and to me social interactions are usually draining, but if they are with the right people, they actually recharge me and give me a lot.
I think that's a really good point. Finding the right people to help recharge you, and that is due to knowing yourself and knowing what feels in alignment with you when people feel in alignment with you and when they don't, and being okay with that decision to not further a friendship or not go to a social event if you feel as though it is going to be draining. I think we were also talking about practicing self-compassion. A lot of life, and it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how far you are in your business, it doesn't matter. Every experience is going to be a learning experience. And, I say this to my clients a lot, like, I don't necessarily look at things as mistakes unless we're making the exact same mistake over and over and over again, because then we're not learning from our past social experiences to help us be better moving forward. And I think that's just a part of life.
I mean, I think it is very difficult because, and I'm going to speak for myself here, I'm used to talking shit about myself in my head and being like, why are you like this? Why did you mess up this way? How is it possible? You know the signs. How did you let yourself burn out this way? Now you have to handle it and blah. And it's like, and it's not easy to just talk to yourself in that loving way as you should, because you're going to be with yourself until you're dead. So
I think we talked about this too. You would never talk to a friend or a coworker or someone else like that. So why do we practice those behaviors and habits with ourselves?
exactly. So lately, what I've tried to do, and it has really helped, is just to stop myself and be like, okay, what would I say to my best friend if she was telling me the story, if she was going through this whole thing? And then I sort of write it down or just say it out loud to myself in the mirror. And it's like, okay, chill. It's not that big of a deal. You got this. You can take the time off that you need and then come back. It's like, it's fine. You're going to be fine. You have your support system. You have your plan B and plan C. You're set. You don't need to go crazy with this. It's not that big of a deal. And that really helped sort of tone it down a lot.
I love the idea of writing things down. Sometimes we can get so stuck in our head. If it stays there, I think it's potentially really dangerous. So for me personally, and what I utilize with my clients a lot, is writing things down. Get a journal, use a notebook paper, use sticky notes, whatever it is that you have to do, but write down the things, like get the things out of your head. This can be goal related. It could be business related. It could be your to-do list, right? Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a to-do list in my head, and like none of it has gotten done until I put it on paper. It's like I just needed to see it to make it real. So there's a lot of power in writing things down too.
Yeah, with your hand, not on the computer. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same vibe. It doesn't really go out the same way. I used to also think that I needed, if I was going to journal, I needed to do it the right way. And so I needed prompts and I needed to answer all of these questions and I needed to have to make sense. And then one day I was like, yeah, this is not working, and just dumped everything in there as if I was talking to a friend, which at the moment, I remember it was like 3 a.m. on a Wednesday, so calling a friend was not an option. And I was like, whatever, I'm just going to say it as if I'm talking to my friend. And it really helped. And then I looked back at it like 2 weeks later, and I was like, why was I being so dramatic?
I do that all the time. All the time. So this is like my diary, so hopefully you can't read everything, but like this is how I normally write. Like this is just like Ariel's thoughts and I put them out there. But this is an example of a day where I couldn't form sentences and I just had to dump. So I just like scribbled and then I just wrote words down. And I think that that's okay too. I actually recommend this activity to my clients a lot too, because sometimes it's a lot harder actually trying to think about forming sentences and phrases to get things out. And sometimes you just need to brain dump. Yeah. Like, and I think scribbling sometimes too is very therapeutic. Like just do what you got to do to get it out. And then I just like put words to each scribble. I'm like, this scribble is meant for this thought. And sometimes too, for me, when I do that activity, it helps me realize how much I'm holding in my head and how not well I'm functioning because of it. Yeah. I have to have that outlet. And I think that that's one of the biggest pieces that I use as a mental health therapist, as an expat, as a mom, as a wife, is just get it out, communicate it in one way, shape, or form. And not everyone loves writing. I have a ton of clients who didn't prefer that. there's a lot of other creative ways to express yourself. You can do it through drawing, you can do it through collages, you can do it through, I had an 11-year-old who was like, I don't really like writing, but I love sculpture. So she would just like sculpt things, and then she would like tell a story about it, and it would just be like this representation of her mind.
Yeah.
I was like, that's genius. Like,
I mean,
crazy, like,
whatever works for
crazy.
you, I think it's fine. It's just a matter of being sort of forgiving with yourself, and if your outlet is doesn't look like anyone else's, because that's a big deal. You see all of these videos on TikTok and social media, and like, this is how it's supposed to be, and this is how it's supposed to look, being a woman in business, being an expat, and you're not supposed to care about anything. You're supposed to enjoy every single day of living in this beautiful city. And sometimes the cities suck, and sometimes the situation sucks, and sometimes you argue with your partner, and sometimes your kid is rebellious, and sometimes your business is not working the way you would like it to work. And that's part of the process, although we don't want to accept it. And just, it's fine, and whatever works for you. I mean, for me in particular, I need to write it down if I cannot talk to someone, but I much rather have my community. Besides being able to, like, that day we went for a coffee, she was burned out, I was like on the edge of it. We were all like going through stuff. We went for coffee. We had like an hour to just talk, and then we went to talking to about business, and it sort of flowed naturally, and we got out of it not only having reconnected after she went to the Cape for like a million years, but also we came out with ideas and excited about a new project. And it was like, it was so productive, even though I don't think being productive should be your goal, because sometimes you just need to be bored to have those thoughts come out. But I mean, it was super fun. Our brain started to work in a different way, and we were not focused on the problems that we thought we were having. We were just rethinking about something else, and then that takes the weight off from the basic things that we were concerned about, that were valid concerns, but still sometimes it's not that serious.
Yeah. I think letting go of expectations is a huge piece there that you just mentioned, right? Sometimes things aren't going to go the way that you want them to or the way that you expect them to, and that's okay. So if we let go of this expectation of perfection or needing to do things one way or seeing how someone did it and wanting to do it that exact same way, like, your journey is going to be completely different, and it's going to be based on what is perfect for you. And no one else can predict that. So if you are so stringent and have to do things this exact way, this exact route, my advice to you is going to be to drop the expectations, which I think will also drop a lot of stress and anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once you just learn to kind of have fun with it and let it flow, it's going to feel so much easier. That's probably one of the other big lessons that I learned from like my burnout, is learning to flow and not be so stringent, which, like, also to what I said too, right? You still do have to have structure, right? So it's not just doing nothing, because that's, I think, what also led me to my burnout. But I was so like, I had this idea, I can't fall from this idea, but it wasn't structured,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if I can structure in and it flows well, but also be gentle with myself when it doesn't flow well.
Yeah, and I think that, considering the fact that there's so many American women right now thinking about moving abroad, who is exactly the women that you help, I think that's a very important thing to remember, because in my experience, having moved so many times to so many different countries, I always have a very specific plan to follow, right? I know I'm going to arrive on this date, and I'm going to do this and that, and then I'm going to burn out, yes, but I'm going to do it after this date, because I don't have time for that. I need to build a community. I need to get my papers and like the whole thing, and then I'm going to do this, and then I can take time off. But then reality is, I make these plans, and now I know I have to keep making them because my brain needs it. But reality is, that's not going to happen. When I arrive, something else is going to change my plans, and I need to be able to adapt. That's the main quality that you need to have to be able to survive as an expat, as a business owner, as a freaking woman in this world.
Yeah. Adaptability and flexibility. I actually have a whole section on it in my moving abroad program because it's super important. And like I said, a lot of people go in thinking, you know, I'm going to move and this and da da da. And like, obviously, okay, yes, the date that you're going to move has to be set in stone, right? We can't just go and pick up a ticket at, you know, whatever day or time. So like certain things, yes, they have to be very structured, but the adaptability and flexibility is going to be more so along this plan, right? Like things are not going to flow as you want them to. Like you said, things are going to come up, things are going to happen. You're dealing with a whole other country, different culture, sometimes different language. Like things are going to get lost in translation, not even just in the language piece. Things are going to get lost in translation from country to country. They're going to get lost in translation from your packed bag versus your carry-on bag. I mean, like I can go
I
on
have
and
some
on and on about the
nice
things.
stories about this. You have no idea, but
We all do, because it's a part of the journey, and you learn to just accept it and let it flow. And when it feels right, you keep doing it. When it doesn't, let's see if we can pivot.
yeah, and I feel like it's pivot, like in French. I'm gonna insert that clip here. I feel like it also everything comes down to having done this so many times. You know to expect the unexpected already, and you know you can trust in yourself to solve it, whatever comes along. If you cannot solve it because you don't know, you have the knowledge or you don't have the skills to solve it, you can be sure that you are able to ask for help and be open enough to talk to someone, even if it's sort of like a random stranger, and be like, hey, I really need help with this. I have no idea what I'm doing. That's is valid for business. I have no idea what I'm doing with my marketing. Just DM someone. I have no idea what I'm doing with my design. DM me. I have no idea what I'm doing handling my burnout. DM Ariel. I mean, just ask for help. And then some people are going to help you and some people are going to be assholes about it. And that's life. But you're just going to continue to handle it.
Yeah. Life is about making connections. You never know who's going to be the connection that you need, right? And whether it's in that moment or it's in the future, you know, life is it's about connections. I think this was I call her my fairy grandmother, because she's not really my grandma, but she's been there since birth. But I remember her telling me when I was in high school, you know, no matter what the opportunity is, go for it, apply for it, talk to the person, take that step, even if you don't qualify for it, you know. And I think that that's really big right now. A lot of people are searching for jobs. You know, you'll look at the list of qualifications and you're like, I don't qualify. And now being where I am in life, and I had a job where I had to hire people, and it comes to making connections and putting yourself out there, applying for the job, speaking to the person about, you know, the move, you know, trying to get into a pro or educational program, whatever it is, right? Take the step and do it. You never know what will come of it. Like I know, for example, when I was applying for my master's, I was really gung-ho about getting into a specific university, and I ended up not getting in, and it was like, I was so incredibly sad about it. But I was working really intentionally with one of the women on the admissions team, and I ended up becoming decent friends with her, and she helped me in other ways, in other like situations. I didn't get into the program, and looking back in retrospect, it's probably best that I didn't. It was a very like hardcore program, and as a single mom working 3 jobs, it would have been, but my expectation was, I want this program, right? And I came out of it without the program, but I made a connection. So, you know,
and those connections are the ones that change your life 100%. Like random strangers, and then sometimes you're just talking to them about, you're just going for coffee for the first time with this person that you met at this event, and then you start talking about the things that you want and the things that you are dreaming about, and they're like, I have an idea, and then they help you in ways that you didn't even think it was possible, and then you adapt, and then you survive the burnout, you survive your business journey, you survive everything else because you're not alone. And I think that
survival is huge.
That value, that the community value is incredible. And I don't understand how there's not like a community for absolutely everything right now. I feel like the community that we're building is the one that I needed when I started this whole journey of moving abroad and even considering having my own business. Is that because it's not the same to have a community of designers to ask for things, or to have a community of like friends. Is having that holistic approach where you can talk to these people about if you're burnout, if you're having questions about your business, something more technical. If you don't know what to do, I don't know, with your hormones, for example, when we talk about Nicole, is honestly, it's so life-changing. I don't understand how this doesn't exist, well, until now.
Until now. Yes. That's why we've created it. But I think, yeah, I'm still waiting on your expat blueprint. Been asking you for like a year now, but we'll get
I'm
there.
stuck.
We'll create it
I have
together.
a
But
little imposter syndrome even with that. I'm like, am I really qualified to talk about this?
yeah, because you've lived in what, 5 different countries?
Yeah, but have I really lived in 5 different countries?
You know what? I think you have. I mean,
Have I
factually
really?
speaking,
Is it really that big of a
I
deal?
think so. I think
Oh,
so.
I know.
We'll make it work. We'll figure it out. No big deal.
Not giving up on something, which is very difficult to see. Is it time for me to give up on this and move on to something else? And this being a project, a business, a partner, a city, like it can be anything, and you really try to make this thing work, and sometimes it doesn't. So I feel like that goes hand in hand with having a community that you can talk to and share all of these struggles, and so they can actually give you feedback and be like, actually, in my opinion, this I would quit or I would stay for this, and that will give you ideas to see it from your own point of view, but understanding what everyone else sees and help you make that decision. But yeah, the blueprint, we need to do a live for that, and then we can just get the transcript and ask AI to create it, because honestly, I wouldn't know where to start.
We do. So let's just work on it together. We got this.
Okay, cool. Before 25, we can create it.
Okay.
That way we can help all of these amazing women coming from the US to Europe.
1000%. Yeah. It's needed right now more than any
Yeah.
other times. So,
All of
yeah.
you ladies are more than welcome. It's sunny out here, so well, here it's very sunny today.
I'm
Cold,
like
but sunny.
30 minutes from you. We still have clouds, but yeah.
I'm sure there's a cloud up there somewhere, but right here, look at that.
For the most part, there's sun.
It's a
Yes.
wonderful Valencian glow right here, even though it sucks in other small cities. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I loved having you on 3 different lives in one morning.
Love it.
Hopefully we do it again, but in a different way.
Sounds good. I support it. Next time, we'll try other platforms.
Yeah, you have, yes, 100%. I'm on it right now.
Perfect.
Well,
Me too.
thanks, babe. See you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye.